How's it going, guys? Victor here, back with a brand new video. This time I'm going to be doing it again on a audio surface. Now, I really want to talk about one of the best fights that is going to be on this UFC 249 card, and it's going to be a fight on the main card, and it's going to be Rozenstruik against Francis the Predator Nganou. Now, Francis Ngannou is 14-3, and 71% of his wins have been by KO. Rozenstruik is 10-0, and 90% of his wins have been by knockout or TKO, which just means that this fight is going to be a barn burner, and it's a possibility that someone, actually no, it's most likely that someone is going to get knocked out during this fight. Now, Francis has been on a tear lately, defeating the likes of Junior Dos Santos by TKO, Cain Velasquez by KO, and Curtis Blades by TKO. Basically, three of the best welterweights that we have to offer in the UFC. Rozenstruik hasn't really had the quality of opponents that Francis has had lately. He defeated Alistair Overeem, Andre Arlovski, and Alan Crater in his last three fights. All of those had ended in KO as well. So both of these fighters are on a streak. Honestly, Rozenstruik is undefeated, and Nganou has won 3 straight in a row against some very good competition. When it comes to the quality of competition, you obviously have to give the advantage to Francis Ngannou. When it comes to power, you definitely have to say that both these guys are equal until they fight one another at UFC 249. When it comes to the experience, you obviously have to give that to Francis as well, just because he's had more fights and he's been doing MMA a little bit longer than Rozenstruik. When it comes to the ground game, we obviously don't know who has the upper advantage, just because both of these fighters like to stay on the feet, like to stay busy and knock out their opponents. When it comes to the footwork, you got to give it to Francis Ngannou as well. The guy actually used to play soccer back in the day when he used to live in Cameroon. And as we all know about soccer players, they have very good foot movement, and it actually transitions to the MMA world as well. So I definitely have to give the foot movement and the footwork to Francis. Biggie Boy, I'd have to say that he doesn't have a good amount of it, just because he wasn't really utilizing it against his fight against Alistair Overeem, and he had a lot of trouble against Alistair Overeem as well. Many times in that fight, he was obviously losing the fight as well until the very last second, where he got a really good strike off against it, hit him with a really big hook and a powerful hook that split open Alistair Overeem's top lip and caused him to win the fight. I don't believe Alistair was actually knocked out. I believe he was just knocked down, but I believe that it was just the heat of the moment for the referee, so he just called that fight as a knockout. But overall, it was definitely Jorginho. He utilized some of his skills, not all of it, but he definitely utilized his power in that fight. And both these guys are definitely going to put each other to the test. When it comes to more versatility with a better movement, I actually got to give that to Rozenstruik, just because he actually moves around a little bit more. I say that he's faster than Francis, and he likes to throw in those leg kicks as well. Those leg kicks to the body, the leg kicks to the head, just because he used to be a professional kickboxer as well back in the day. So that's where that experience comes from, and it translated into the UFC. And he's been utilizing it very, very well into his career. Francis, he's more of a stationary guy. He obviously moves a lot, but he's not that type of guy to chase you. He's the type of guy to walk you down pretty slowly down the octagon until he finds an opening and takes advantage of it in order to knock you out. What I did like to see from his last fight is that he was utilizing leg kicks against Junior Dos Santos, and these weren't just ordinary calf kicks, but these were very powerful calf kicks that he was putting on Junior that caused Junior to change his game plan up and try something different. So if he does utilize that with Biggie Boy, then it'll definitely be a good idea on his part. Soften up the legs a little bit, just so Biggie Boy will have a lot of trouble putting weight on those legs, which will cause him to change his game plan up. Because if your calves are beat up, then you're not going to want to engage in any type of kicks. You won't want to throw a body kick or a head kick, a roundhouse kick, a front kick, or a back kick, any of those types with a messed up calf, just because it's already hard enough to put weight on it. So it's definitely going to be an interesting fight for sure. When it comes to winning, I'm going to say that I give Jairzinho Rozenstruik the win. I say that he's going to win by surprise knockout. And Francis has never been knocked out in his whole entire career, and I think this might be the fight where he gets knocked out. But Francis has been itching. He's been chomping at the bits to come back to the UFC and get a good fight in ever since his fight with Junior Dos Santos, which happened all the way back in June of 2019. This is a couple of weeks. No, actually, this was a week before International Fight Week last year. So Junior's been inactive for a very, very long time, almost a year now, which is crazy since we're in May. Jairzinho's been very active. So when it comes to activity, I gotta give it to Jairzinho Rozenstruik because he's been more active lately. His body's gonna be a little bit more warmed up. Junior's gonna have to. My bad, not Junior. Francis is going to have to find a way to warm up really fast. If I were him, back in the locker room, I'd stay warm up. I'd keep warming up into the very last second before he has to come out for his fight. That way, when he's taking his walk to the octagon, he's still sweating, he's still heated up. So by the time that bell rings, he'll be able to come out there like a bat out of you know what. So that's what I definitely recommend for Francis right there, since he's been out for a while. Stay warmed up to the very last minute until that bell rings. That way you're loose. You're already shaken up a little bit in a good way, and you get ready to get down to business. But overall, I got to give it to Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I'm going to give him the upset victory against Francis. And with that win, I definitely see him contesting for a UFC title in the near future, depending on what happens with Cormier and Miocic. I know Miocic had an eye injury that caused him to miss out a lot of time, but we shall see what happens, guys. And it's definitely going to be a good couple of months for the UFC now that we're back in it, but hopefully everything goes to fruition and everything goes well. Overall, appreciate you guys for listening. Stay safe, stay blessed, and we'll continue to keep on putting out some videos out there. Later.